So all these guys work way too hard. This is the reaction show, but it's not live because it's too hard. There's like no internet in here whatsoever. But the track is almost gone, if you can believe it. However, what was the key points to round 4, besides having the Triple Crown? It was, number 1, Jett. What's going on with Jett? I heard potentially his Achilles is torn, but then I also heard from the press conference that HRC Honda says that he's getting an MRI, which says that he's probably got a torn meniscus or a torn ACL. There's guys that have ridden, James Stewart, Ryan Villapoto, that have ridden with torn ACLs. You can do it, but the guy just has had some bad luck, man. You had the Ozex, and then the stuff that's going on with Lucas Myrtle, and now he's got a torn ACL, potentially. And he's pretty much the fastest guy. So I would have to say that you don't speak ill of anybody, or wish ill for that matter, but Sexton, Kenny, and Tomac are probably feeling like, hey, we can win this. Well, Tomac already knew that he can win this, but you got what's going on with KTM, with Citibank potentially buying them out. Sexton's got to be feeling pretty darn good right now. And I want to say that that was probably the most fun track to watch lately because of all the 180-degree corners, you know. So it made for amazing racing along with some of the rhythm sections. I loved the middle rhythm section because I'm going to get run over by the giant Supercross semi. So I'm going to have to walk a fine line here and hopefully don't die with a selfie stick, because I need to still buy a gimbal. But it's, you know, I saw Jason Wygant running around with a little GoPro. I got to ask him how that worked, because that's probably going to be much better. But I digress. My point is the track was so raceable, despite it being hard pack. Usually when tracks are hard pack, they're less racy because they just end up being one line. I didn't get hit by the semi, luckily. So, because there's no rut, there's no it doesn't differentiate between the riders. More so on the East Coast, you can make up for the lack of track design because of the dirt. It's going to have another variable where riders aren't able to triple or double, or they're going to have to jump through the whoops. Here, because the whoops stayed pretty much more or less round because they were concrete, we didn't see any guys jumping through them, right? So that was another dynamic, but that kind of misses my point with now the track having so many different rhythms where guys were triple, quad, or they were double, triple, double over jump, you know. And then the middle section where there was a giant triple over the start, there were so many different lines. And then the wall jumps, talking with Kenny, or at least listening to him on the press conference, you know, I wanted to ask him why he was rolling it while everyone else was jumping it. And he pretty much said that his wrist hurt, right? And talking with A-Rod, they were kind of bending wheels because of how much they were just flat landing. Man, all these guys are doing a good job with leaving real early. I mean, it's 10:20. I got a flight at like 3 a.m., so I probably won't sleep, but hopefully I'm gonna go in front of the semi. These truck drivers are good, but I don't need to get hit by a truck driver. And then to talk about the 250s. Truthfully, Cole Davies almost had a perfect night with going 1-1, and then I don't know if he got in the danger zone and maybe the pressure got to him a little bit. I don't really think that is, because anytime you had Degan, who was all over him, he continued to exceptionally excel. So it was one of those things. Sometimes your candle gets burnt out early, right? But that is so much of a building block for that young man. And he's funny as hell at the press conferences. You know, I hear Jace is working with him, so that's a good dynamic. And there's lots of New Zealanders coming up here, and it's nice to have him leading the way. And Jordan Smith with Triumph getting the W. You know, he would have been on the podium every round so far if it wasn't for, was it last weekend, where he tried to pass for second, ended up crashing and getting fourth. So that team is, whew, they're doing really well. And what he said at the press conference, which was very interesting, is he basically said that he likes being on a team that works well together, that do what they're told and that help you. We know what his old team was. His old team was Star Yamaha. So what is that saying? And back to the Star Yamaha, what is that looking like with Cole Davies coming up and showing that he can run with Degan? Very, very interesting. With the Triple Crown, that's so much racing, and there's so much time of the bikes on the track. Does that even make sense? There's so many bikes on the track. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. There's a lot of racing. And what Sexton was talking about was, why do we have the futures? Why do we have so much on this Triple Crown? We should just have less. And honestly, he makes a lot of sense about that. And dude, him coming away with the win, we know that financially they're not doing the best, but insurance-wise, they're paying him. So he's got a big fat bonus. And I'm super pumped for Kenny. Watching Kenny ride and him busting out some of the big jumps, dude, he's hungry. He's hungry, which is hard. It's hard to go from like not hungry to then hungry. And truthfully, whatever they have with that motorcycle right now, it is working. It is working. This is going to be a fun season between Tomac, Sexton, and Roczen in the 450 class. And honestly, you got to give it up to Webb too. Saw him bust out some stuff during the parade lap. And I can't leave anyone out, to be honest, because these riders are so good that they are able to hit a new rhythm just seeing another guy doing it, right? And what's interesting is Degan is the kid that is leading the charge in the 450 class. I've been to 2 rounds so far. I know I should probably go to more, but you know, don't shoot me. And both times he has busted out something that none of the 450 guys were doing. And sometimes they didn't even do it in their class. So same thing with the quad over before the whoops. Degan was the first guy to do it. Degan, before the first triple, after the start, he was relatively the first guy to start busting the flatland on there. He wasn't doing the quad in the back section, but I just don't know if that bike had enough power to do so. And yeah, he's leading the charge. But my point, because I started to digress a little bit, is these guys watching another rider in front of them start doing something, and then they're able to then bust it out the next lap, is just a skill that very few riders have. And that's what makes these guys the 1% of the 1%. But I hope you guys enjoyed all the content from this weekend. I am editing the track aftermath, battlefield, post analysis video. So keep a lookout for that. And where the heck is my rental car? Oh, it's way out there. You know, I got a flat tire on the rental car. That was a bummer. I drove off and then I'm like, it just doesn't feel good. And it made me think, you know what, Hopper, you still have it. But you know, honestly, that's not like saying that I know, I've got, my spokes are loose. You know, me knowing that, I got a flat tire. It's pretty obvious when you're driving a car if you have a flat tire. But anyway, it's past my bedtime. And so I'm gonna let you guys go. And again, subscribe, hit that notification icon. Until next time, keep it WFO.